What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a late Tuesday edition of the Empire State of Mind podcast. Today, I am joined by Al from 49ers Plus podcast. Uh, Al and me are here to talk about the 49ers getting themselves some edge rushers before Sunday. They've made two moves, and we're going to sit here and talk about it. I mean, yeah, Sunday was an ugly, ugly game on both sides of the ball. I want to touch on that too. Talk some little injury return news. Niners are as cryptic as ever when it comes to injury news, and maybe a quick look ahead to New York and the Giants. But how you doing, Al?
Good, man. Good. Glad to see some moves being made today. I mean, they're to say that the defensive line is thin, getting thinner would be an understatement. Sam O gets hurt. Jordan Elliott gets hurt. Travis Gibson was elevated 3 times, was signed by the Panthers, so they couldn't even bring him to the 53. I guess they didn't want to. I guess they saw enough. So making 2 moves, a trade and Cleveland Farrell being signed to the practice squad was I don't want to say a big get because he was on the street and he's on the practice squad, but now it's strength in numbers, like, making a bigger splash for a Kayvon Thibodeau or, Trey Hendrickson was a pipe dream, especially with the Bengals still sort of being in it because the Steelers stink and the Bengals can't beat the Jets. Niner curse, man. You bring in Trey Hendrickson, he probably gets hurt in a week or two. Like at least you're going to go cheaper. You don't pay for it if they get hurt. And Kyle and John are doing enough to keep themselves, I think, competitive, still try to win the NFC West. But we all know this isn't a Super Bowl year unless, when Brock comes back and Pearsall and Aiyuk, if the offense becomes a top 5, top 3 unit that can carry the day and they get in the playoffs, you never know. But at least with the trade with Keon White, he's signed for next year. So they'll get some extra out of him, assuming he doesn't get a catastrophic injury that knocks him out for a year and a half.
Yeah, the biggest thing about this is he signed through 2026. That's the big thing. I'm looking in the comments on X. There's a lot of complaining that we never make big moves. We haven't done it since the Christian McCaffrey situation, and John Lynch is being cheap and it's a poopy move. 49er fans complaining. What else is new, right?
Right.
But if you watch Sunday's game, like Al, the Niners are so far away from being a truly deep playoff team, competitive type team. They're just not. They just don't have the. They don't have the. I was going to say chutzpah, whatever the Jewish term is. But they don't have. Well, they just don't have the dogs. They don't have the bodies. They've lost their top 2 defensive players, who are both, Fred Warner may one day be a Hall of Famer. I mean, that level kind of a player missing, and then Nick Bosa, perennial Pro Bowl or All Pro. You're missing a lot of juice, but from those 2 guys. And like, as a 49er fan this year, I'm down on the team, but not because I don't think that they're trying to compete. I just have a real big issue and concern about all these injuries, and like, is something going to be done about it? Can anything be done about it? Because it keeps going and going and going. But this move was about what I thought that they would do.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching my guys from the Cover 3 podcast on Friday, Sterling Bennett and Dre Sports talking. And I know Sterling and me have kind of been more of the going for a guy that's, less expensive and won't cost you as much draft capital.
Yeah.
And maybe doing it in numbers instead of going for one guy, blowing your stack, and then that's it, right? Sure enough, they make the move. The 49ers receive let's see here. I'll go back to the actual page on X for my eyesight. It says Patriots are sending Keon White to the 49ers per sources. New England gets a 2026 6th-round pick for a 2026 7th rounder. So they swap picks in the 6th and 7th round. Like, ooh, big whoop-diddy, right? Like, doesn't really matter. But this is about what I thought they were going to do. Are you satisfied with that kind of move? And then bringing in Cleveland Farrell, and maybe they make one more move. Who knows? I mean, the trade deadline is what, next week? So,
yeah, November 4th. I'm fine with it. I mean, it checks the box of what Kyle and John said, that it wasn't going to be. They didn't want to give up a lot of draft capital and someone that's signed through next year. think about it this way. All 4 defensive ends on the week 1 roster are hurt. All 4. So they need somebody, they need multiple somebody else's. A Trey Hendrickson, Kayvon Thibodeau, Bradley Chubb, Chase Young, to a lesser degree, they're not one player away. And for anybody that's complaining, you know, what you said, oh, they haven't made a big trade since Christian McCaffrey. Well, it was Trent Williams before that and Christian McCaffrey, and then Charles Omenihu was a good piece, and Emmanuel Sanders in 2019 was a good piece that got him to the Super Bowl. You know, any Niner fans that are Dodgers fans, if they exist, I don't know if they do, are probably complaining if they didn't win in 17 innings last night. That's just how much like the whining and the pitching of Niner fans have gotten, and living in the Northeast like you do. Like I liken them to Yankee fans.
Yes.
You know, there's this right to championships, right to spending all this sort of money, go all in. This isn't the fact that they're 5-3. We should be all thanking God that it's giving us a competitive season this year versus what last year looked like. And this year and last year from an injury standpoint look pretty friggin' similar, right? Like we all saw the statistic during the game, the most games missed since Shanahan took over in the league.
2036.
It's a thing, guys. And we hate to use the word an excuse, but it is a major contributing factor during the years that they haven't been relevant after 2017, because 2018, the big injury was Jimmy going out at the Chiefs game, and that made that season a crap fest. 2020, crap fest. 2024, crap fest. I mean, it's legitimate. It sucks, and we're all tired of it, but it is legit, right? And bring in more bodies. Like, I think the most interesting thing to me now is who gets released from the active roster. They have to make room.
Right.
So someone's got to go. And I was looking at the 53 before we came on, and I'm, you know, receivers got 6 right now on the active roster.
Mm-hmm.
With 5 in an elevation, but does that mean does Sky Moore go? Then who's your punt returner? Do they put someone like Jordan Watkins on IR? Do they put Sam O on IR? I guess that's possible.
Yeah.
I'm curious what they do next. Not like they're the deepest team, but I want to see like this equation kind of equal out.
I never expected them to make a move for Thibodeau, and I never expected them to make a move for Hendrickson. They're not good enough this year.
No.
To make an excuse to make that kind of move. They're just not. They're not deep enough. You know, all this talk about their offense and outscoring everybody until guys get back. They're not capable of that right now because they can't block. They're horrendous on the offensive line. Absolutely dog water horrendous. So this whole illusion that, you know, we're just going to outscore everybody. No, the Niners can't even score 20 points on a regular basis. So this is exactly the kind of move that I thought they were going to make. They're not good enough. They're a 5-3 team.
Mm-hmm.
If the Niners were 8-1 right now, 5-8, 5-3. So if the Niners were 7-1 right now, okay, and they were trending upward and they were relatively healthy, but they needed a little edge kick, I could see someone like Thibodeau or Hendrickson coming over, or maybe a Jalen Phillips from Miami or something like that. I could see that. But you can't. I mean, I know you agree with me. Like this year, there's just no way. They need to rebuild this team from the inside out. It's funny how everybody talks about being cool with the Niners kind of resetting it and like coming back and kind of doing it through the draft. And now that we're doing it and it's not looking all that great right now because we have a lot of rookies playing and a lot of injured players, everybody's already ready to reset and just be like, oh, let's just spend a bunch of money that we don't have and just we'll worry about it down the line. Like you can't operate like that. They have to be smart. They need to hold on to their big time draft picks because next year they probably need to look at an offensive tackle. They probably need to look at another edge player, and they might need to go after someone like I was listening to some podcasts, probably like a wide receiver too. Like they need to. The Niners have some key needs that they need to start addressing, and so giving up anything of value in the draft would be stupid.
If Kyle goes skill position in the first 3 rounds, I think it's a waste of a draft pick. It's got to be O-line at some point in the first 3. You can make the argument for D tackle again because you're going to have Kalia Davis as a free agent, Jordan Elliott as a free agent. You have your 2 rookies. Like they're going to need more beef in the middle. Edge rush will always be a need. Bryce Huff is signed for next year. I know his cap number is a little high, and I think it's more salary and not that much guaranteed money. So maybe they can even extend him and lower it. They'll have Keon White. They'll have Bosa. Robert Beal, they can't seem to kill. Yator's on the last year of his deal. So receiver, like I wouldn't want to draft. I mean, unless they're going to draft a receiver in the first round, say the receiver position goes to absolute crap in the offseason where Jennings doesn't cut, like Jennings is a free agent. He goes somewhere else. Let's say they also trade Aiyuk, although it's either or with those two. I can't see them both going because that would be offensive malpractice. Maybe Demarcus Robinson gets cut and JJ gets walks. So receiver will be a need. But again, we've seen different chapter, same book, different chapter, or however the phrase goes. Young players aren't going to play. Like Jordan Watkins was only up because he needed to be. They could not elevate a receiver because they had to elevate Zaccheaus and Travis Gibson. So yeah, I mean, skill position, all well and good, but they do need to fortify the lines. McKivitz got extended. Who knows? Like Ben Barch can't stay healthy. I don't even know if they're going to bring him back this week or next week. And if they do, then they have to release someone else from the roster again. There are obvious holes on this team, and they need to hit on draft picks as well as it looks like they've hit on draft picks the last 2 years. And to get someone like a Keon White, even though better season last year than this year, of course, I'm sure we've all seen the stats, but you're not going to get someone with that athletic ability and pedigree in the 6th round next year. Right. So that was, and you got a 7th rounder back, whatever that's worth. So that's an easy enough trade. Plus he's under contract that you're getting another, I don't want to say a foundational building block, but another piece for next year when theoretically they should be a healthier team, at least week 1.
The thing with the Niners too is, and I've been the first to talk about diminishing returns with Mykel Williams. The reason Mykel Williams is having diminishing returns is he's getting forced to play a position that he wasn't expected to play. He's not an edge rusher in the truest sense of the word. He's not a pass rusher. He is an edge setter. And they're having him play monstrous snaps out of position. And it's showing. He doesn't have a plan. He doesn't know. He's not a top flight edge rusher. What this move does essentially with Keon White, right? It moves him inside on passing downs. He'll still play your base edge. It'll be him and hopefully I don't even know who the base edge is on normal downs. I think Huff plays base and on
he was
passing downs
before he got hurt. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So essentially your third down pass rushers will be, I forget who the other defensive tackle would be, if it's CJ West or Alfred Collins. They're gonna have a beat. I'm stumbling over my words. They can kind of put him back where he needs to be, hopefully, if the guys we bring in actually don't get hurt as well.
They're going to have to figure out what they want to do for the Giant game, because the only healthy DNs on the rosters, it's Mykel, it's Deion White, it's Robert Beal, and they're probably going to call up Cleveland Farrell from the practice squad. So those will be your 4 DNs, and Kyle, I mean, I understand all coaches do it. It's very rare, other than like maybe Cam Scadaboo's injury, and obviously prayers up for him. Hopefully everything's okay. Everybody downplays injuries. Oh, Samo's ankle, it's a low ankle. He's day to day. Really? When someone comes out with a cart and he's carted away, he's day to day. Even with Yator and Ricky Pearsall hasn't practiced yet. Why wasn't he put on IR? Like there's everything.
Why wasn't our quarterback put on IR?
Everyone's getting closer. They're getting closer. That in the beginning of the week, since Brock got hurt after the Rams game, because he got hurt in the Jaguar game. Oh, there's a chance on Monday too. There's a chance with Brock. There was never a chance. There's a better chance of me banging Sidney Sweeney. Like there was no chance of Brock playing. There was no chance of Yator playing for a while. There was no everything. When they said 2 weeks for Bryce Huff, pencil in a month, right? At least 3 weeks, if not 4. So they have more. If you want to say they don't have the horses, now they have the ponies. At least they have enough ponies to play and suit up 48, because that was a mild concern coming out of last game.
This injury situation now with this team, I remember in the preseason, I was getting grief from certain people on X saying I'm making more out of things than they should be. It's the preseason. Nobody's actually missed time yet. You're worrying about nothing. And I'm thinking we're barely able to get through the preseason. We had 25 guys injured in the preseason. And we have people who are so simping on the 49ers. And I'm not saying you got to be a misery merchant and go put out a bunch of hit pieces constantly on the 49ers. Not what I'm saying. And that's not what I've ever been. I'm just a realist. I was thinking to myself, if they're barely getting through training camp and preseason, I was like, I thought to myself, I'm like, wait till the regular season hits. And sure enough, man, it was like Niagara Falls, and it hasn't stopped.
Nope.
Every time they bring somebody back, they lose at least 4 players in a game.
They've lost 3 players in back-to-back games. It's ridiculous.
Every single game. The talk that this is just a thing, it's like happenstance, it just happens. No, there's something. I think personally, certain injuries you can't avoid, like Fred Warner's injury, can't avoid it. Nick Bosa, maybe. I don't know if you can, maybe not be so ripped and maybe, I don't know, work on your knee joints. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. But there are certain injuries that you can't prevent, right?
Yeah.
But this team is filled with hamstrings and soft tissue injuries every single year. And they linger and they linger, and they're always a problem. And to me, that sounds like something that's a fundamental organizational issue. I've been having a hard time this year getting excited and hyping myself up for games, because it's like I know during the game at some point someone's going to go down. And people are like, that's a really bad attitude to have. And sure enough, it happens every game. I guess my question to you is, what is your thought on the injury situation? Do you think that is a fundamental issue, that something is awry with this? I mean, because it's only the 49ers. It's like nobody else is dealing with this.
Well, I mean, there are injuries throughout the league. I mean, to the degree the Niners have injuries, it's beyond what the league averages for sure. And it's 2 years in a row. It's 3 years out of 5 going back to COVID. A lot of it's bad luck. I mean, a lot of it, and I don't want to say a lot of it, I'm starting to think that they are cursed, as like funny as that sounds. Like there's something wrong. The Lions last year was well documented. Their defense was completely ravaged, right? Like, Aaron Glenn was taping that unit together, but on offense, they still had Goff and Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra and Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs. I think David Montgomery missed a handful of games here or there, but they were winning shootouts. They were able to outscore opponents, and then it all came crashing down in the playoffs against Washington. The Niners don't have that luxury, being able to outscore people, because they were without Kittle for a while, and no Brock and no Pearsall and no Aiyuk. At the same time, their offense has not looked like the Texans' offense this past week, and they were missing their top 3 receivers. They had a terrible offensive line, pass blocking and run blocking, not much of a running game, and sliced and diced the defense every which way they wanted to, which was embarrassing on all fronts. I don't think anything is going to get corrected. I mean, short of, again, maybe going through a whole new strength and conditioning staff. It just, like, I'm almost numb to it. Anytime you see, like, you hear a whistle or you can tell on a telecast that maybe somebody's hurt or down, you just assume it's a Niners player. But the biggest issue is they're losing starters. They're not even getting their most important players injured. It would be nice if backups got hurt. It would be nice if non-important players got hurt, but they've gotten their soul crushed with their most important players on both sides of the ball right now. CMC's the last man standing. Who would have thought?
I'm actually going through a little bit of a thing. There's another YouTuber. He does a film breakdown. His name is Johnny Dell. Really talented guy. Yeah. Me and him, we've been DMing, discussing, and we've also been discussing right on X. We both think that there's a fundamental issue. And we're not just talking about this year. We're talking about the complete Shanahan, John Lynch, maybe even far as going back to 2013. The Niners have had the same head of their health staff, the same like head of staff for like 10 years. Other people under him have moved, There's been movement underneath him, but the main guy has stayed the same. And to me, again, you can't prevent certain injuries. You just can't. It's football. I understand that. But when it comes to recovery on this team, re-injury, not having statuses down for players ever, never knowing anything, just there's so much misdirection and like I don't know if it's that they're being ambiguous to throw off opponents, which I think is stupid because like your whole roster's hurt, so who are you throwing off?
Mhm.
But I think inside the organization this year that it would be malpractice if they didn't at least consider taking a look at their health staff again. Because, I mean, 2,036 players over the course of the regime of John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, nobody comes close. And people are like, oh, this year's a one-off. The whole league's hurt this year. It's crazy. But the Niners are hurt all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Their healthiest year was last year. Even in 2019, they got ravaged by injuries. I think that was more just, normal bad luck. But it's getting to a point now where like I have a hard time getting really passionate about the team because soon enough I'm going to be watching practice squatters on offense and defense. And then at that point, it's like watching a preseason game. So I personally think something needs to happen. Not now, of course, off season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you do, so there was some deep diving that Johnny Dell did, and it's pretty damning information when you look into like the deep dive on the injuries and stuff and what they all kind of consist of. And it seems to be like a reoccurring theme with a lot of their injuries. So we'll see.
They shot themselves in the foot, no pun intended, with bringing Brock back too early. What was a 2 to 5 week injury? He comes back week 3. And again, is it bad luck that he got tackled the same way? At least that's what Shanahan said, causing the turf toe injury. He should have. There's a difference between healthy and healthy enough to play. I mean, it's football, so no one's going to be 100% on like, the video game meter bar in terms of health. But if you're in the high 80s, low 90s, and that might even be optimistic, having never played tackle football, I don't think, after 3 weeks, I don't think Brock was even considered good enough to be able to play. The Giants game now is 5 weeks from when he got hurt from the Jaguar game, and he's still not ready to go. And even though I'm not privy to information, I don't believe he hurt himself worse than where he was coming out of the Seahawk game. And if that's the case, why did he come back in 3 weeks from Seattle, but he won't play until week 6 games missed, or 5 games missed, I guess. The Rams game at the absolute earliest. Downplaying injuries, things taking longer than what Kyle expects. And if it's the training people that say Bryce Huff's going to be out for 2 weeks and he's out for 3 or 4, or Pearsall shouldn't go on IR, or you tore his knee/hamstring, it'll only be 2 or 3 weeks, don't put him on IR. Then he's getting bad information. I mean, part of it is him being coy and playing with the media. But even with Brock, if Brock had played in 2 of the games that he missed, they still would have lost to the Bucs, and they still would have lost to the Texans, because both of those games they kind of got manhandled on offense, and defensively. The Bucs game, you had 2 broken play. As good as Baker Mayfield's playing this year, and he is playing well, I wasn't that impressed against San Francisco. His 2 touchdowns were broken plays that you or I could have thrown. The defense was just like, oh, go ahead. It's, maybe there's that whole gambling thing that's going on in the NBA. I don't know. Maybe Bethune or one of the safeties were like, oh, I got you on my fantasy team. Just go score. So yeah, it's a big issue. Know. It should be looked at, but I don't think they're going to fire anyone. Anything's going to change. And next year will be a new year. If they stay healthy, it's probably more of a fluke than anything else.
I don't believe it's a fluke. I think they have a legitimate problem. I think
it's fluke if they stay healthy. That would be a fluke.
I don't think next year will be any different.
No, I don't think so. No.
Like, what do they say? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and over and expecting a different result. Even just for the sake of doing something different, they need to at least look into it. Do a deep dive as they would say, like go through your books, as they would say.
Yeah.
Like the companies go through their books to do a little fine tooth combing and going over, what's going in and what's going out, expenditures, all that stuff. Do that with your health staff. Maybe you need to focus less on the weight room and more on stretching. Maybe you need to worry more about nutrition than you do whatever. Like everything should be on the table for me, at least, because I'm just getting sick of it. I don't care anymore. I don't want to hear about timelines for players returning.
I know.
I don't want to hear about, every press conference is literally all they talk about is player injuries. Even in games we win, what are we talking about? We're always talking about injuries. I played that famous clip from what the hell is his name? The old coach of the Raiders, Chucky, John Gruden, yeah. And he was talking about players need to get out of the training room and onto the field. Like these injuries are ridiculous. He thinks that something's going on with the league too. He thinks that I don't know. He's like, get out of the training room, get onto the field. He thinks that the lack of practice, because you notice, Al,
yes,
when the collective bargaining agreement changed in 2011, all of a sudden we started seeing massive injuries across the league over the next couple of years. Training camp used to be a battle of attrition, right? Getting guys ready to play. These guys don't play. OTAs are a joke. Everything else in the offseason is a joke. Training camp, they wait till 5 days in to put helmets on and do full contact. Like it just, the league's supposedly less, the complaint always was in the past, everybody's slow, they're plumbers, whatever. We got these super athletes now that they look like Greek gods, right? And we've changed the collective bargaining agreement so people don't practice a lot. They have more recovery time, blah, blah, blah. We've done all these things. Medicine is advanced, but yet injuries are more prevalent than they ever were in the past with caveman freaking diagnosing procedure. Like it was just so different back then. I don't understand. And that's what I think he was just having a problem with. There needs to be more practicing. Everything, as soon as the collective bargaining agreement got their grubby hands and started making it so players barely practiced, I felt like the league has gone downhill since. And it was like 2011, I think it was right before the first year where we got Harbaugh. There was that big, stall, and then we had the shortened training camp and everything. But I'm tired of it. I'm sick of I don't care. Like, get better. Figure it out. Stop getting hurt all the time.
You have people like Upton Stout last week missed the Falcon game because he got hurt on the last play of practice, turned his ankle. Again, bad luck. Like ankle sprains, you could just walk down the stairs and turn an ankle. Like those are, obviously the big ones, like you mentioned, Scadaboo and Warner had, like that's even Bosa, like he was getting blocked by two guys and his knee buckled. 17 games obviously doesn't help. They're going to go to 18 at some point, and Kittle says, well, you could do that, but you have to give us 2 buys. And how much really does an extra bye week going to help the bye? It's better than not having a bye.
They need to get rid of the Thursday night games as well too. Stop being money grubbing freaks and start caring. You care about your players' health, but yet you have Thursday night games.
At least Aaron Rodgers came out and said that before their Thursday night game. Was this past week or whatever? Like, oh, we know why we're playing on Thursday night. It's all about money. It's all the league's greedy.
The league is totally greedy. Go ahead. Go ahead. I forgot who I was listening to. He's a famous 49er hater. He usually teams up with Chris Sims. I forget his name.
It's not Mike Florio, right?
It is. He was talking about how the league, with the officiating and how poor it is, and with the gambling going on, the NFL's become so much more about money than player safety. It's not even funny anymore.
Mark Cuban famously said a couple years ago about the NFL that pigs get killed and hogs get slaughtered, and if the NFL keeps pushing the way it's going to, that there's going to be some sort of reckoning. I don't think there ever will be, right? Like, as much as I enjoy football, I'll never watch, spring football. It's just not.
Yeah.
And people keep pushing like, oh, there's an appetite for football, Not based
No,
on the ratings.
I'm pretty good in the summer, dude. I don't want to watch football in the summer.
No, set between 17 weeks and playoffs, whether Niners are in it or not. Would I be a fan of an 18th week? Sure. It's an extra week to watch our favorite team. That's fine. But you're right. The league is obvious. It's absolutely talking out of both sides of their mouth with, protecting players and stuff. And to put a bow on the 49ers stuff, man, like whatever, if they take a look at anything in the off season, that's fine. But it's got to start as early as OTAs in April. People are showing up to OTAs, whether it's rookie or veteran, injured.
How?
What are you doing in the winter, wherever you are, that OTAs are coming up? Shouldn't you be ramping yourself up?
Or the guy from Tampa. He got drafted in April, and he showed up to training camp fat as hell.
Oh,
he already had weight issues.
Yeah. He was like undrafted. He has like 380 pounds. He never should have.
How? You should have a trainer with him cooking food. What are we doing? Like, how does that even happen in professional football? How does a man show up like 80 to 100 pounds overweight who can't play? How do players
on your roster? Like,
who got hurt this year?
Heart attack.
Who got hurt this year? Was it Ben Barch that came into freaking OTAs injured? Like, I told him, like,
yeah.
What'd you do? Fall off your toilet getting up? Like, what is going on?
Pearsall didn't play for a couple of weeks, or maybe that was training camp coming out of OTAs. But
let's talk about Pearsall for a sec, and let's talk about some of these Niners injuries that they keep talking about. We got Aiyuk. We don't know when he's coming back. He's close, but he's not close. And to say it's close, it's that might be saying too much, but it's not far though. Like, oh my God, John and Kyle. I've never seen two people say nothing so often.
But I think Kyle's got to stop giving the media and us things to talk about, because when he was asked about Aiyuk, I think the question was something like, is Aiyuk getting better? Is he getting closer to a return? And I think Kyle said yes or whatever. And the follow-up question was, do you think there's a chance that he could open up his practice window after the Falcon game? And then it was a leading question, right? Of course there's a chance. Like again, Sidney Sweeney, like there's always a chance. We're not saying it's a good one. So Kyle, I think, has to choke back. There's no competitive advantage to say, oh, maybe I'm going to open up Aiyuk's practice window this week. He's not going to play after a week of practice. Are you kidding me? Neither is Ben Barch. Kevin Gibbons wasn't able to. Anybody that comes back, Pearsall hasn't practiced since he got hurt. We're going to reevaluate him Wednesday for what? To tell us on he's got a chance.
He's out another 3 weeks.
Inactive. Like, he'll make a difference when he comes back, though. But the big issue is, and I think all of us understated it, PCL injury or sprain was what knocked McCaffrey out the rest of the year at Buffalo. So that was never a 2-3 week thing. We're going on week 5 now, maybe between 5 and 6, although I know nothing about diagnosis timelines for that. But once they said PCL, I knew that there was no chance that was like a month injury. No chance.
He's another one that just can't stay healthy. He's another one of those draft picks that Kyle has made where you're just like, we're 2 years in and we still don't know what he is because he's never healthy. Ever. They're never healthy. Like it's mind boggling. Like these players, man, like.
I think what he is when he's on the field is the best receiver that the Niners have.
Yes, right? He is.
He's better than Jennings. I know Jennings is all sorts of banged up, the shoulder, the ankle, the ribs, and he's playing through it like a warrior. He hasn't been part of the solve the past couple weeks. He's been more part of the problem with dropping passes and penalties, face masks, 15-yarders. Like, he's got whatever frustration he has, if at all, with Kyle, with the sideline blow up a couple weeks ago and everything. He's got to harness it and challenge it and harness it the right way, like on the field. But he's taking over like the Dre Greenlaw stupid ass penalties on offense for the team, which is not needed. And
an unnecessary face mask on a play where you're not in the play.
You're not in the play.
What are you doing? Why? For what?
Was
sabotage your own team?
Responsible for the interception against Atlanta. Ball was a little ahead of him, but went off his hands.
You got to catch it.
Atlanta. It's,
You
third
gotta
and
get your yeah. Go ahead.
third
I'm
and
sorry.
Jauan is also turning into like the Jauan drops, right? He's never had great hands, never that fast. Now he's hobbled, gotten better as a route runner, but we're seeing the hands issue again, which kind of plagued him early in his career.
G-Rod said it best. This is exactly what I'm going through right now with G-Rod saying. This team can't get through a season healthy. You get pumped for the season, and then it's the same old scenario. That's how I feel this year. It's just, I'm not enthusiastic watching games. I can't do it. I can't get myself pumped because you're just waiting. And that little sad music that comes on from Fox every time someone gets hurt, that ba-da-dum, 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 bum, bum.
Yeah, when they go to commercial.
And I'm just like, here we go. The
only thing I would say to that, though, is at the way that everything unfolded off season, this season, injuries, didn't have a great feel, right? Obviously, they go to Seattle, thought they were going to lose that game. Brock gets hurt. Mac comes in. He plays really well. People are having fun with, they should trade Brock and Mac's just as good and blah, 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 blah. There's been a lot of stuff to get excited about, especially after Mac's first game against Arizona, which they were very lucky to win that game, that they're keeping their head above water, that they're a 5-3 team. The only reason they lost to the Jaguars, 4 turnovers, punt return, touchdown, kick return, good field position at the end of the half. And then they were just bullied by the Bucs and the Texans. But I would still rather, like, for anyone that's saying that they can't get pumped to watch games, I'd rather watch a Texans-Niner game than not watch a Niner game at all when it comes to later in the summer and stuff.
I get pumped, but I'm not. I watch with the sense of dread because I know someone's going to get hurt. And it's really sucky, and it sounds like a really negative way to be, but until something different happens, if we can get through like 2-3 games where we're not like, we get a return of a player and then he's out and then we lose four players. Like, I want to just have a game where nobody comes back and nobody gets hurt, and maybe we can start stacking these. A lot of people, there's a couple of people talking about the Keion White move. Guys, the Keion White move serves 2 purposes: depth and someone who can rush the passer.
Yep.
And one of the reasons that they brought him over too is that he is out of position in New England. He's a 4-3 edge who rushes the passer. He's not a 3-4 stand-up linebacker / pass rusher. He was playing out of position. Same thing with Bryce Huff. So the Niners solve an issue for the Patriots, which was putting me on a team where he could do his job and be effective because he's playing more his native position. The Niners were never going to make a huge move. They need bodies over one player.
Yeah.
Like the Thibodeau and the Hendrickson move are, if you're like unbeaten, you're healthy, and we're like, man, we really look like a Super Bowl caliber team this year. Let's go get Hendrickson for whatever, and let's go do it because we're going to win. Like, that's when you make those moves. When you're kind of barely winning 5 games and every game's a close one and you're barely scraping by against bad teams and you're getting a win here or 2 there against good teams, are you really going to throw away high-level draft picks for a 10-game rental when the team every week loses 4 players by injury? Like, you got to be smart about it. I'm not saying the fans aren't smart, but like, look at this team realistically as a fan and tell me, is this a Super Bowl team this year? I don't think they are.
No.
Could they miraculously pull off one and win it? Maybe. I still think the Chiefs. People were saying the Chiefs are going to be bad this year and they're going to go down a hole. No, they're back like they always are. As long as they have that quarterback, that tight end, and that coach, they're always going to be good. And they got a really good defensive coordinator too. Hey, and guess what? They're actually staying healthy, which is something we can't ever do.
Well, they're getting healthy, right? They're getting the receivers back between, Rashee Rice from driving around like an a-hole and everything else. If you don't want to say it, I'll say it. A lot of 49er fans are dumb. A lot of sports fans in general are dumb. And we're not the smartest of the bunch just because we're on here talking about it, but we do more research than your average fan who just goes, we're on Twitter. We see how dumb people are. And you said it perfectly. This is not a one player away, take a big swing for this season, right? It's not. The way that things are going to shake out, they have a realistic shot of making the playoffs, even if they don't win the West, because they when you look at the teams that are vying for the number 7 spot, who do you have? The Falcons. Niners have the head-to-head on them. Bears really aren't that good. Arizona's out of it. The Giants are out of it. Dallas, is going to fold. The Commanders are not nearly as good as advertisers. And the Saints are terrible. The Panthers are going to fall away. And the Niners play the Panthers and the Bears, and they have a head-to-head against Atlanta. They get those wins there. Their NFC wins, and their NFC wins against teams that they have head-to-heads against. Are you going to be satisfied if they're 5, 6, or 7 in the playoffs and get bounced in the first round? No, because any year you get into the dance, you want to get a shot at the ring. But given everything that they've gone through, if they win the West, Kyle should be coach of the year. But it'll probably go to Steichen or whoever the coach is, Gannon, whichever one of those former Eagle coordinators is the Colts head coach. But it's not Madden, guys. You can't turn the salary cap off. You don't want to trade assets for someone like Trey Hendrickson, where he's going to be gone next year, and he's 31, 32 years old, and you don't get that compensatory pick until 2027. So that doesn't help you in 2026. And look at it this way. If you want to say the Niners got fleeced in the Deebo Samuel trade because they only got a 5th for Samuel, you could say that, but it was also the contract that was going over that the Commanders had to inherit. So Deebo got traded for a 5th. Keon White gets traded for a 6th. And the Niners got a 7th back. So maybe it's pretty good business for a player that has the athletic profile that made him a high 2nd round pick. It is a complete flyer. There's no downside to this. He is not the solve, nor is Cleveland Ferrell, nor is Yator if he comes back, but they have to start stacking bodies.
Yeah, they need to have depth. Like if Yator could come back and be somewhat productive, and then you have Huff come back, and then you have 2 guys that you brought in, and you're, maybe somebody decides to challenge Alfred Collins, because Alfred Collins, I was poo-pooing on him early in the season. He's the most, out of all the rookies that have played this year, he looks the best.
Yeah.
Like he makes a lot of, he's in on big plays. Like I don't know, man. Like we thought CJ West was the guy, but then he got hurt, and he's been he was a healthy scratch last week, which made no sense. How do you healthy scratch a defensive lineman when you're down defensive lineman? Huh? What?
Well, because he wasn't a D end.
Unbelievable.
Tackles, they actually have, especially with 2 on the practice squad, more numbers. But that was surprising.
I know you're lying, because you know that Hennessy's a better center than him. He sucks. Hennessy is head and shoulders above Brendel. And that's saying a lot, because that offensive line sucks. The Niners offensive line sucks. They can't block anybody. Trent Williams is playing like garbage. This needs to be Trent's last year. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you 49er fans, but he's got to go. They need a better tackle.
If they cut him, they save twice. It's all base salary. They save $24 million on the cap.
I love him to death. He's a Hall of Fame left tackle, or borderline Hall of Famer. I mean, he misses a lot of games every year.
He's a first ballot.
You think he's first ballot? Okay.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about quarterback, because it seems like people were peeing in their pajamas, and now things are kind of starting to cool off with Mac Jones, and you're starting to see what Mac Jones really is, which is not as good as Brock Purdy. He can make some big throws. He's tall. He can stand in the pocket. But I want to listen to this. This is Brian Balding. You're talking about the health situation when it comes to the 49ers and Brock Purdy and Mac Jones. Hold on a sec. I'm never ready when I do these, ever.
You do with the quarterback situation. I feel like Max really won me over with the toughness and all that. But Purdy's their guy. They've paid him a ton of money. He's done some great things for the organization, but they're playing in New York this week, and we don't know where the foot's at. What do you do with the quarterback here?
Well, Mac would look a whole lot better if, JJ catches that ball down the field. He's going to score a touchdown. It's right in his hands. His stats and everything would look a whole lot better. And maybe it's a closer game if Watkins catches the ball on the outside, maybe it's a different game. The reason why they lost the game ain't Mac Jones, and the reason why they're 5-3 isn't Mac. And so he's helping them win games. Like I'll say the same thing that I said last week. Unless Brock Purdy is 100%, because we don't know how much rust there's going to be without him having to play. Like, it might take a while for him to get back into a groove and get his rhythm back and his eyes and timing and all that. So it might take him a little bit. And you don't want to see that pass rush of the Giants that can heat you up while you're trying to figure out the timing. So unless he's 100%, unless you know, like you see it in practice, the anticipation, the release, the movement, unless you know that for sure, then I would just ride Mac at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100% on that one as far as Mac Jones goes. But this discussion that was going on, and you know who I'm talking about, because I poked at somebody who is able to see certain people on social media because I have them blocked, and I said, "Is the conversation starting?" And it was right when Mac took over, and he said, "Absolutely, absolutely." In fact, I saw Brock get bashed by a certain person. I'll just say the guy with the Amish beard. And it was because the guy asked a question about Baker Mayfield and how he was playing. And somehow it became a way to bash Brock.
Yeah.
For the money he's being made. And listen, as great as Mac Jones has looked, or not great as he's looked, as good as he's played, he's not Brock. Can't move. He's immobile. And that offensive line is awful. I give Mac Jones a ton of credit, being tough. I mean, but they can't even score 20 points. I mean, he's doing okay. He's serviceable. He can make some big throws. He's tall. He's got a better arm than Brock. But I still would take Brock's feistiness and his ability to move in the pocket and keep plays going than I would have Mac Jones. Mac Jones is a nice story and stuff, and they got themselves a good backup. But backups are meant to only play a couple games. They're not meant to play a whole season.
So the only place I'll disagree with, Mac Jones is a starting level quarterback in this league. He's a starter. I mean, you can't tell me that he's worse than Cam Ward, worse than Spencer Rattler, right? Like, we're at this point worse than
No, I don't think
Tyler,
I don't think he's awful.
Kyler Murray.
I think he's average.
Yeah, no, but yeah, no, he is. But the Niners have two starting quarterbacks on their team.
They do.
And I don't know how many teams out there can actually say that. When the conversation got stupid between, Mac and Brock, and, you have idiot fans out there, well, maybe they can trade Brock to the Bengals for Hendrickson. I saw that from multiple people.
Oh, I saw that. Hey, listen, I love Larry Krueger to death. I saw that on his post-game live. He had a guy on camera say, trade Brock for picks and keep Mac.
Yeah.
I know it was just a fan that he had on there. And I respect Larry does incredible work. He's the best. He's one of the best. He's better than Grant. I like him better than all those guys. Whoever that guy was on his panel, I'm like, I was watching the post game and trying to enjoy it. As soon as that guy said that, goodbye. I'm out. Bye. I'm not investing time into listening to this.
It's nobody thinks before they speak. I mean, I saw a notable 49er content creator, because everybody wants to be first, breaking news. Although you're not reporters, you're just watching ESPN and seeing something that comes across and you just kind of, duplicate it. Said that the Niners traded with the New England Patriots for Keon Coleman, also known as the receiver who plays for the Buffalo Bills. So guys, can we get the names of the players right? Like, if you're going to be that, dedicated to the Niners, can we at least get you're in the same division, so that's good. But
his name is Keon. Right? There it goes. Oh my God. Keon Coleman.
I wound up getting a notification on my phone. I'm like, one, why am I getting this notification? And two, why are you so wrong?
Oh God.
Absolutely ridiculous.
There was talk. I heard Sterling say this, and I'm wonder how you'd feeling. There was talk about possibly the Niners getting Arden Key. There's a chance he could be a 49er by the end of the week. I heard that during Sterling's stream with Andre. Would you be okay with Arden Key if he came along too?
If he came along, sure, but instead of, I would take Keon White over Arden Key. I mean, he's like a 240. He's built like Leonard Floyd. So he's, at least you got a player in Keon White, no matter how. I mean, he led the Patriots in sacks and pressures last year, all great, and then fell out of favor for whatever reason. But at least he's another player that can play outside or inside. Like, he's a big dude, 6'5", 280. Cleveland Farrell, 6'4", 6'5", 265. Like, what they want out of their defensive ends is that size, that mold.
Is that the presence in the run game they like to have? The guys
They
who can
want to
set
have
edge?
edge setters. I mean, you can't have them all like that. So that's why the trade for Bryce Huff was nice, because then you actually have your speed third down end who wound up becoming a starting end because of the past couple of games, because of all the injuries that have been going on. So, and listen, if they want to make another trade for another pass rusher, awesome. I don't even know what the hell the roster looks like at that point, but I've understood like the profile of what Saleh wants to do and how they want to get bigger and stronger against the run. Although, against the Texans, that didn't work at all.
They were awful against the Texans. They didn't do anything right.
Nothing.
The offensive line was atrocious. Defense, I mean, they didn't get near. They didn't get near. I think. Let's see if I have a thing here. Let's see here. Okay. No, that's not the one I'm looking for. Is it this one? Yeah, here we go. This is Dave Lombardi, everybody's favorite 49ers guy. So the 49ers D-line generated 5 pressures against C.J. Stroud, even though he dropped back 40 times. Another 5 pressures came from blitzers on the back 7. The frequent use, which opened up a whole different set of problems for the 49ers. Yeah, then I was watching I think it might have been Johnny Dell. It was either Johnny Dell or somebody else talking about how bad the communication is with the 49ers secondary right now on the back end. Awful. Just awful. Guys out of position. Anytime somebody goes to like a bunch formation, guys lose to where they're supposed to be. Guys don't know if they're supposed to play man. Guys don't know if they're supposed to play zone. Guys are running into each other. I mean, it's just. I knew that this year was going to be a struggle with some of these young guys, but I mean, guys are not even following the right players in the secondary. They're just letting guys run past them. There's some plays where like the screen pass was down the right sideline to begin the Texans game. The guy didn't get touched for 50 yards.
Well, yeah,
there was nobody within 25, 30 yards of that guy.
That was Bethune's guy, and for whatever reason, he stepped up into the line because he thought Stroud was going to step up and run. You gave up 50 yards. I mean, it's either Stroud for 5, 7, 10 yards or not covering a running back. You always want to cover the running back. I mean, I understand like the desire to wanting to make a play, but the whole is only as good as the sum of the parts. And Bill Belichick, do your job. Don't need to freelance. No one needs to be a hero. Like Demo on the pick at the end of the half, even though you can't, so hard to blame him because he was trying to make a play. I don't know, if every player in the huddle were thinking, if I get a fumble recovery or an interception, there's only 12 seconds left on the clock, so I should give no one's thinking like that in the heat of battle with bullets flying. But the entire collective of the defense, yes, if it's communication issues, you can't control that really with the linebackers unless they swap out Bethune for Curtis Robinson because he's next in line. No Niner fans, it's not Nick Martin. No. Someone who wasn't active for the first 6 weeks should not be a starter anytime soon. Use your heads.
Guess what that leads to?
Yeah, it's more issue. I mean, the one change I would be okay with making, I know they're still trying to figure out the safeties. I think Marquise Siegel probably played the least out of the 4 safeties, but I would be okay. Upton, Stout, sit for a little bit and then bring Chase Lucas in. Not because of what he did, Drake London on the 4th and 1, because of what I saw in the preseason, because he's a veteran, because of how well Robert Saleh talks about him. I feel like they're forcing Upton Stout into a position that he's not quite ready for yet to play at as high a level as I think Chase Lucas can play.
Yeah. I thought it was like Larry Krueger always says, meritocracy. I don't care. I don't care if Chase, I don't care if it means you missed on a draft pick. I'm trying to win games here. Like, who cares? Oh, so you rather give a guy experience and have him screw you because you got to give him experience, but you have a chance of, I don't know, maybe stopping a play here or there, then put a veteran in who probably isn't that highly touted and nobody really knows who Chase Lucas is outside of, some real diehard fans, and he actually makes plays. He's good on the blitz. I mean, I like Chase Lucas. He seems really feisty, kind of an undersized guy. And I mean, I'm not even bagging too much on Renardo Green. because I think he's okay. I mean, he's not great. I think Demos played fantastic this year. He has a little bit of the grabbies, but they just don't get any pressure up front, man. There's nothing. I mean, CJ Stroud was standing back there. He could have tied his shoes, sat down, made a sandwich, stood back up, and no one was near him.
It was, I mean, beyond everything else, there was soft coverage. You're going up against 2 rookie receivers and their third string receiver, Hutchinson, third-year player. And they didn't even try to, I mean, maybe once or twice, try to get up in the face of the receivers and throw the timing off. Like try to, I'm not saying play bump and run every single pass possession, but it was such a soft corners off zone that you made CJ Stroud look like a top 10 QB, which he is not.
You play that when you have people that can rush the passer. You can play zone.
But that's what Saleh needs to take away, and Kyle, from the Texan game, is the Texans have a very good front four, but they still blitzed Mac more than the Niners blitzed CJ Stroud. They still, and this is what I talked about, I think on my show, was it yesterday or a couple days ago, is, do we think if Brian Flores was the defensive coordinator for the Niners, he'd be blitzing as much as he does? Do we think if Jeff Ulbrich, and the Falcons blitz 42% of the time, more than the Vikings, if Ulbrich was hired instead of Saleh, do we think he'd be blitzing as much as he is in Atlanta? And the answer is no, because Kyle is so wed to this cover 3, generally rush 4, drop 7. They're in the bottom 6 in the league in blitz rate, which is not surprising, under 20% of the time. Not surprising to anybody. But I want to see this team go, if you're going to go down swinging. And the fact that you're not getting there with 4, they're still playing their defense as if it's the 2019 line that Bosa and Armstead and Buckner and 4. It's not that. You can't play this deep. This game against the Texans,
wide 9, the wide 9 situation is the one thing that kills me. They're still running the wide 9. I just think it's, I mean, they're not even getting just gouged in the run game. I mean, guys aren't getting touched. They're ducking under tackles. Guys don't tackle when they're in the hole. It's just, I mean, I've never been a fan of the wide 9. It only works if you have 4 elite defensive linemen. If you're just throwing out a bunch of dudes out there and say, hey, we're going to run this Seattle defense from 2012, but we have none of the personnel to run it. Like, that defense was special because you had Richard Sherman and you had Bobby Wagner and you had all the other players. You had Cam Chancellor and the other safety whose name is escaping me.
Thomas and
Earl Thomas. Like, there's a reason why that defense worked. You don't have that. You have Upton Stout, you have Marquise Siegel, you have all these like really weak ass safeties out there. I mean, Mustafa's okay. I still think, I think he's a little overhyped. I think he's pretty good though. But they don't have a
true coverage safety, and they don't have one.
They don't have a coverage safety. I don't understand the Niners' affinity for drafting box safeties. I've never seen them once be like, screw the box safety thing. We're going for a legitimate coverage safety. A deep middle third or whatever they call it. It's always the same. And what ends up happening is they have a bunch of guys that all do the same thing, and they still get beat the same way. Just poor downfield coverage. Guys don't rotate quick enough. It's just, I don't know, man.
It looked really bad against Houston. They got dominated on both lines, on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
People, I'm seeing some folks, not wanting to admit on social media, again, for whatever it's worth, that the Niners got beaten up. They got overwhelmed. Yeah, they only lost by 11. They scored 15 points. The Texans going into that game were allowing 14.7. So it's not like the Niners didn't light them up. They played to the norm for what Houston kind of gives up. But the manner in which they got dominated, the optimistic people, and I don't know how you could be optimistic about any aspect of that game. And it was shockingly closer than it should have been. Right.
Right.
But saying like, well, the Niners only lost because of the time of possession was so skewed. and they couldn't, the defense couldn't get off the field. Well, how about the fact that the Niners only had 2 drives all game that were more than 4 plays? The reason why time of possession was so skewed, because the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, but there was no sustaining of drives on San Francisco's end, and that was more what Houston was doing than what the Niners weren't doing. It was the ugliest looking ass beat of an 11-point difference that I've ever seen in my life. Like, if the box scores 475 yards of offense.
Bro, the game never felt close. I never felt that the 49ers were in the game at any point in that game.
The only part I would say is Houston's first 2 drives led to field goals. So
True.
As bad as it looked, you're like, all right, maybe the Niners took the Texans' best punches these first 2 drives because they could be down 14-0. Still a 1-score game. After that, for each drive, another punt, and then it was like, now this game is over because it's apparent can't stop them and can't move the ball.
Yep. Real quick, we can hit on the Giants.
Yes.
I heard my guy Dre from Dre Area Sports say he's nervous about Jackson, or his last name Dart, Jackson Dart. I am too. I'm nervous. I don't have any confidence in that Niners defense going in New York. It's kind of almost a similar recipe. They have a good front that can rush the passer. Niners can't block. And they have a quarterback who can move around and is athletic. And I don't know. They don't have a ton of receivers that scare me that even come off the top of my head. They just lost Scatabo, but I feel like the Niners, every game's kind of similar this year because of the Niners, it's less to do with the opponent and more to do with the 49ers deficiencies, mainly on the offensive line. Like every game is a scary game for me because they can't block, and it doesn't matter who the quarterback is.
This game is not a gimme by any means. I think San Francisco's only favored by 2.5. I think the last I checked, which I guess maybe means that's an 8-point spread if they were home. Jackson Dart is going to be a problem. There's the real possibility that they make Jackson Dart look like CJ Stroud last week. There's no Malik Neighbors. You have Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton and Jalen Hyatt at receiver. No great shape there. You lost Scatabo. Tyrone Tracy and Singletary are serviceable. They have the potential for doing their damage. I just don't know what changed from the Falcon game where, Michael Penix had a decent enough game, solid game, but they held the Atlanta rushing attack to 60 yards, 90 under their per game average. And then they go to Houston and let up 100 more yards on top of what the Falcons did on the ground. So I don't know if this is Jekyll and Hyde or Houston just game plan the crap out of whatever Salah was going to do, because it's not like the Texans were 100%. Any quarterback missing their top 3 receivers, I don't care what the team is, should not be looking the way that CJ Stroud looked against. I mean, the corners were healthy, right? If the Niners were missing Demo and Green, you could say, oh, maybe that offsets and whatever. But it was a disturbing game. The Giants have that. I think with Dart have that in them. They might not have. They put it this way: the Giants have more weapons this Sunday than what the Niners saw last Sunday in Houston. Yep.
If the Niners can't block up front again against a decent pass rush, they're not going to score any points. They got to be able to move the ball.
Well, they only had 10 rushes all game against Houston. They need to at least have 10 rushes midway through the second quarter to keep.
They need to have 10 rushes on the first drive.
I mean, that would be ideal. Best way to slow down a pass rush is running the ball and screen passes, right? I mean, that was the craziest McCaffrey game I've seen in a while in terms of his stat line.
He looked good.
The way I spun it to a positive is no matter what, even if McCaffrey got 30 touches, they would have lost that game. The defense was that bad and the offense wasn't helping that much. Less wear and tear on McCaffrey's body, right? Only 8 carries, only 4 receptions. They were going to lose that game no matter any which way you slice it up, but maybe the upside is McCaffrey didn't take a beating in a loss, because he takes beatings in wins and losses.
Every game. Yeah. Dude, we only had like 3 topics tonight, and we covered an hour. It was that much. I mean, it was that bad last week, and all the injuries and stuff. You could talk about it for forever if you wanted to, but appreciate you coming on. Anybody who was in the chat, whether on X or on YouTube, appreciate you guys. I like this Tuesday thing, man. I know it's hard to get us to be all on the same page time wise.
Yeah.
It's so difficult because I feel like this works the best because we're both we're northeasters, and it just feels right. Anytime I have somebody like who's a West Coaster doing it, Empire State of Mind and thing, it always feels off. I had Tony the last couple weeks here and there.
Yeah.
But it's hard for him to get in on Mondays consistently too. So thanks for coming through, man. I appreciate
no problem,
it.
Man. If next Tuesday works, I mean, just reach out. If next Tuesday works and we could talk about hopefully a Niner win, that'd be even better.
Yeah, that would be great. Everybody, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next week. I will see you guys Friday on the Cover 3 podcast. What's going on your channel? Did you put out? I think you put out a video yesterday, correct? Or Sunday?
I did one yesterday. I think Sunday night after the game, and then may do one tomorrow to talk about the trade. If not, either then Thursday or Friday, which would be the trade, and then looking ahead to the Giants and any other things that are notable.
Because you're in a way, I've almost started to think about going back to doing videos like you do, just shorter videos. You know what I mean? Instead of doing hour-long streams and stuff, it's like maybe I should just do my own stuff. But I like the conversation with other people.
Right. No, it's fun. I mean, there's so much more between the give and take and back and forth, and someone says something that spurs more thoughts. I mean, when I do my show, I have my talking points that I want to discuss, trying to keep it between 30 and 40 minutes. I could be long-winded when it comes to some stuff, but that feels like it's kind of the sweet spot. And if there is one tomorrow, it might be even like between 10 and 20 minutes because it's just talking the trade, not much else.
Yeah. 10 to 15 for me when I'm by myself. Or maybe 30 minutes. I did have 30 minutes. Hey, by the way, guys, I'm going to try to do it. I went live after the game on TikTok Sunday. So I'm going to try to go live. I was on for like a half an hour, and I pretty much was just commiserating with people about how bad things looked. And it's whatever we did today, I did pretty much on Sunday just by myself, but it was like the same talking points. They need, bodies on the D-line. They suck at pass blocking. They can't do this. They can't do that. They're always hurt. I was pissed, but appreciate it, man. We're going to get out of here, guys. Thank you so much. Talk to everybody later. Go Niners.
Take care, all.